Hello and welcome to The Story Pilgrim, episode 6 of season 2, Gary Mepsted, Measured Words. Now before we dive in, the usual, please, if you are not following the podcast, please like and follow. That way you will not miss out on any downloads. If you have not signed up to my newsletter, please do so by going to thestorypilgrim.com. Scroll down a little bit and you'll see it right on the front page there. Just pop your email in and you will be signed up to our monthly newsletter that is award-winning. Well, actually, no, the newsletter has not won an award, but the podcast has. The podcast has won a couple of awards. Right, Gary Mepsted, where do I begin? Well, Gary came into my life about 5 years ago. We talk about that later. And he is a wonderful man, which is why I had to have him on the podcast. We sat down in his garden and we had a lovely chat about quite a lot of things. Let's get underway.
Hello, my name is Gary Mepsted. I am, it's very difficult to put this into a few words, primarily a writer. We'll direct, we'll take photographs, we'll do music. I teach, edit. Anything really around the written word kind of interests and fascinates me. So that's the territory where I feel most happily dwelling. So that's who I am. We are in the communal garden at Old College House in Brighton. It's a beautiful Victorian building that was once Old College House is a clue, that was once a college for, I think, sort of teenage pupils. Mm-hmm. The building itself is absolutely stunning. The tile work in the lobby is quite extraordinary. We have a lot of photography students from Brighton University, which is just down the road, will come in and use it, take photographs as part of their projects. I have a history with this building in that my ex did a horticultural class here, and I remember her ringing me going, "You've got to come and meet me, it's absolutely stunning." So I went and I was, completely bewitched, bothered and bewildered by it. It was because you passed it in the street and you've got no idea what's happening behind the walls. It closed and then was converted into a series of, I think, 75 apartments. And I've ended up living in one of the apartments.
Brilliant. And when was that? That when you first came down with your ex? When
I've lived here in the building for about 15 years now.
Okay.
So Darren, if you want to do the math.
But when was that first time when she was doing the horticulture?
We'd graduated from university in London and come back to live in Brighton. It must have been late 80s maybe.
Okay.
I'm not great with time. It's got an elastic property for me. It both shrinks and expands. But I would think sometime in the late 80s.
Okay. So let's go way back there then. So where are you from originally?
Originally, I was born in Harrow, and I moved to Crawley Newtown when I was 4, I think. Okay. My parents lived in a brand new house. You remember being in Newtown, lots and lots of new build properties. So that's where I spent my childhood.
Is that where you went to school?
That's where I went to school. And my parents moved to a little village, Balcombe, which I believe you know, on my 14th birthday. And I didn't really adjust very well because I was still going to the school over in Crawley. So I was leading a bit of a double life. Whereas my sister went to the little village school, so she immediately had friends and stuff. My friends were sort of many, many miles away. So, and you know this about me, a rural environment is not particularly conducive to any kind of pleasurable experience. We're sitting in the garden now and we're under trees and stuff.
Yeah, surrounded by
but I can see the building just there, so I feel quite...
You're connected.
I'm connected. Still. I feel quite safe. I'm grounded by the fact that we're still in an avowedly urban environment. So.
Brilliant. So schooling remained in Crawley.
Schooling remained in Crawley, yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned university. Was that a straight step through?
No, it wasn't. I was expelled from school.
Okay.
They threw me out. They decided it had enough of me. So I didn't get A levels.
Right.
So I left with, I mean, on paper, if you look at my academic record, I mean, you would say, well, yeah, he's not very well educated, and I doubt he's very, very bright. So yeah, my paper qualifications do not show me up in a good light at all. The reason I went to university is that I worked for a while in a children's home in Hove, and I met my first wife there. We got married, much again. No, this does not reflect in any way badly upon her, but much to I thought, I don't want to do this. It's not a good idea, but perhaps like most men, I thought, she's so beautiful, I'm going to go for it. So I did, and we only lasted 2 years, which was, they were very interesting years. And then, for a reason I won't divulge, I needed to get out of Brighton. And my parents would say, well, come and live with us. And I just thought, I cannot do that.
Okay.
You know, yeah. Maybe sleeping under, cars by the side of the road might be better. So I, on a whim, I applied to go to uni to do English, and the reason I was attracted to that particular university was the fact that it was in London and it had a creative writing. It had a writer's workshop attached to it. So I applied very, very late, and by some miracle, and I use that word advisedly, I got accepted.
And so, how old are you at that point?
At that point, I'm 26.
26, and you got expelled from school.
Whatever. I say would have been probably whatever year you do A levels. I was expelled.
So like 16, 17.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and I worked for a bit and did jobs which I've been trying to erase from my memory. They were terrible office jobs. I mean, really, really dull. Those. For me, they were jobs that were soul-crushingly horrendous and horrific. So, yeah.
What was that step like then? Did you have any reservations about going to university? Because did you not have a good time at school?
I didn't have a good time at school. I was very rebellious. I mean, this might sound strange and maybe slightly horrific for some listeners, but we were cane. The cane as punishment was still in force, and it was very, very strict school. So if you wore socks were not the right shade of grey, they would cane you.
Wow.
And me, being a rebellious, I would wear fluorescent pink socks and lime green socks and go, come on then, if you're hard enough, cane me.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I wasn't like like a destructive pupil, like throwing, but my rebellion was pretty much constant. But I would argue quite low level.
Yeah.
You couldn't grow your hair too long. You'd had to wear the school cap, blah blah. So and I was truanting from games and PE and stuff like that. I'd go to the library and read.
Right. So you always had that love of English.
I always had that love of English. I was absolutely fascinated by it. I was writing I told this in my writing class yesterday, from a very young age. I was suffering from one of those childhood illnesses, like chicken pox, mumps, something like that. I think it was chicken pox. So my mum made me up a bed on the sofa in the front room, which meant she didn't have to run up and down stairs, and she could hear me when I was calling out for whatever it was. And I do remember asking for, Mum, could I have a pen and some paper, please? And she walked into the room with the old-fashioned spiral-bound reporter's notebook and one of those yellow Bic biros. Mm-hmm. And I remember just starting to write a story. And I will say this is exactly as it occurred to me. And a voice, I don't know whether it was internal or whether it was external, said to me, "You will do this for the rest of your life." And being a kid, I sort of shrugged and went, okay.
All right.
Not really thinking about it or processing it at all. And I suppose that's what's, I've done it for and I'm still here at age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So,
That was
was
coy,
that
wasn't it?
whole university experience, was that the complete opposite, like to what you had at
Uni,
school?
yeah. I mean, I went there because, as I say, it was a bit of a fait accompli. I didn't want to live back with my parents. I didn't want to go back to Balcombe. I needed to get out of Brighton. And I was working actually as a caretaker at a secondary school, and I was in the careers room and just looking through the prospectuses for unis, and I picked out, it was the Polytechnic of North London,
Okay.
PNL, and it's in Kentish Town. And I thought, oh my God, this is English, this is great, oh God. And I applied. It's Writers' Workshop, but it's in London. It'll give me somewhere, it's a boat hole. So I went there, and it was only after I'd been accepted and started the course that I realised that, so this, why did they take me? That it was one of the top 3 degrees in English in the country, and that includes Oxbridge. It was that difficult to get on, and a lot of my friends, one guy I was really, really, really friendly with, Pete, he tried for 7 years, and he kept coming back. And if they didn't want you, if they didn't want to reject you, but they wouldn't allow you on the English course, they would say, well, we'll offer you English and classics, or you can apply again next year. So I thought, how the hell... I think what got me through the door, to be honest, is because when I was a caretaker, I'd spend lots and lots of time reading. So basically, I would read with a rapaciousness which was quite extraordinary. So when I went from, this was in the days when they would interview you. It was a very long and quite grueling interview, but I was able to talk at length and intelligently about the authors that they, Henry James, D.H. Lawrence, Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, blah, blah, blah. Less intelligently about Shakespeare, but I clearly knew enough that they felt that they weren't perhaps taking a risk with me.
That's
so,
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. But so little did I know, all that reading, I was actually prepping myself for 3 years at uni.
And how was that 3 years at uni?
It was great. It was very much it was very much modelled, I think, on the sort of the Oxbridge approach.
Okay.
Anything that was published probably from about 1949 onwards was not. We hadn't quite made up our minds about that, so it wasn't in the canon.
Okay.
So it was very difficult to. My dissertation was on the evolution of television drama, which was like, and everyone else was doing Ibsen, a lot of Shakespeare, Andrew Marvell or John Donne, and I just thought, no. I was very lucky again because an amazing young lecturer called David Jarrett, wherever you are, David, I think he got forced into being my supervisor because he was young and probably seen something on television. So it was a little bit. It was, and I remember in the seminar, someone was, who was the author they were trying to promote, and they got, it was some. If it occurs to me,
yeah,
Darren, but it's like, oh no, that's a bad word. We won't use that. So they were very much embedded in the kind of the English literature canon, and everything else was always up for grabs, and so we can't quite make up our mind yet.
Yeah.
It might have been Anthony Burgess or something like that. But
did you stay in touch with that David?
No, I didn't. I'm one of those people that perhaps because I'm a Gemini. I don't have the idea of having friends from school or even university seems slightly strange or slightly anachronistic to me. I've got loads of people in, but it's just like some kind of, there's a caravan of people passing.
Yeah.
So it's not that I've got loads of people I know, but I tend maybe not to, or I don't make an effort to cling to relationships.
Sure.
It's not that I don't value them. I mean, the people I see and I'm friends I have now, I absolutely love and adore them. But I don't have that kind of sort of Velcro approach that I can attach myself, So it would just I think, not that I don't know what I would say to them.
Okay.
And they might not know what to say to me, which is possibly more important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason why I do this podcast is that I'm trying to figure out life through other people, like saying like what makes you tick and stuff. And one of the common things is that I hear is people have there's certain people in their lives that people like they had a huge influence on me, and I know that you have a huge influence on a lot of people's lives with regards to what you do in your teaching, of your writing. Who is it for you?
Right. Thank you for asking me that, because I would have felt, if I thought about it subsequent to the our little chat, I would have been quite cross. I had an English teacher when I went, so I would be 11, so it was going to big school, comprehensive, who, Mr. Dawson, Ken, he saw something in me, and in terms of my writing ability, and he was such an extraordinary English. He was amazing. I would have to say, and then with not a scintilla of embarrassment, I think I fell in love with that man. He was just, and he left. He wasn't with the school very long. He left and then went to teach abroad.
Okay.
But he was really instrumental in fostering my love of the written word, because I think he had a similar attachment to the language that I had. So he kind of gave me the boost. And then there was a teacher later on, might have been 2 years down the line, Mrs. Sherwood, also an English teacher, who then very much took me under her wing, and was trying to push and promote me, and which I thought was lovely. She said, of course you wouldn't be able to do this now. One of the pieces of comprehension stories I wrote for English, she had a friend who worked at Sussex University, some professor, I don't even know if I ever knew his name, and she showed him my work, which of course that would not be allowed now without my permission.
Yeah.
And then she kept me behind after class, and she explained, and he said to her, I remember, I cannot believe that a 14-year-old has written this. So I would have been 14 at the time.
Wow. And
she said, no, he's one of my, he's one of my, and I think there was something I might have wanted to meet him or done, but I'm, if anyone tries to promote me or push me, I'll scuttle back into the shadows.
Yeah.
There was a poet, Alan Brownjohn, I think he's still alive. I met him at uni. When I was writing poetry for kind of competitive reasons, and he really liked my work, and he thought, let's get together. And I thought, no, I don't really want to be pigeonholed as a poet. I'd rather go my own way. But when I talk to people, they go, you're absolutely mad. So my life, creative life, is, well, it's a car crash of squandered opportunities. I've never referred to it as that before, but that seems a pretty accurate way of describing it. It's the old. There's a line, isn't Woody Allen? The only thing that stopped me becoming famous was me, and
I think there's a lot I can relate to that.
Right,
I absolutely can. Do you still have any of those stuff that you were writing back at that age? Do you have any?
I've got a little bit. Okay. The ottoman in my lounge with the plants on.
Yeah.
When I moved, there's lots and lots of exercise books. Gary Mepsted. The class was F3X. Brilliant. So I've still got an awful lot of huge. I mean, hundreds of thousands of words that I've written have gone. I don't know where. Scattered to the four winds on floppy disks somewhere. I'm not, for someone who who cherishes and kind of the written word has an almost kind of religious quality for me. I'm not very good at preserving and archiving my own stuff.
I mean, that's different nowadays, isn't it? We're just doing it on the laptop and stuff.
Doing it on the laptop, yeah.
Do you ever open that ottoman up and read them?
I sometimes think about it. When I said to Lucy, my daughter, I'll just fling it all in there, Lucy, and I'll have a look at it later. I did look at a few letters from BBC and ATV, again, like stuff. I remember writing a TV drama when I probably would have been about 16, 17. about two middle-aged gay men whose relationship was on the point of collapsing. Why? That's kind of indicative, because I was kind of 16, 17, heterosexual, still a virgin. What the hell did I know? But I suppose that kind of marked. I write about stuff that I've got no idea about.
Yeah.
So I sent it off to ATV, and then Archie Tate, whose name you can still sometimes see on screen, I don't know if he's around still, producer, got back in touch. He said, I've read your script, can't remember the name of the script now, and he said, it's absolutely amazing. It's I think it's like too rich for our blood, but send it to the BBC, I'm sure they'll grab it. And of course, did I send it to the BBC? No, of course I didn't. But I had a little bit of correspondence with Archie Tate. It was letters back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was quite interesting, because I got the impression, and I did nothing to disabuse him of that I was probably a sort of a 40-year-old, 45-year-old homosexual. And he definitely thought there was an autobiographical element, and that did amuse me.
That's brilliant. Have you written all of these things down?
No.
None of those? Because most of your writing, correct me if I'm wrong, is fiction. Is that right?
Fiction, yes.
Would you say, what genre would you
Yeah,
put
no,
yourself
so
in?
I've done plays, screenplays, novels, not so much short stories, poetry. People have said to me, oh, you should write a memoir. The idea of it, it does not interest me at all.
Why is that?
Because I don't know. I mean, we've got this gravel path in front of us that leads back into the building. So the idea of my writing a memoir will be to pick up each stone individually, wash it, and put it back in place. Like, it would seem to be an exercise in both masochism and futility, so I don't go there. There's a Maggie O'Farrell, the novelist, Hamnet, people know her for, once said about writing from life, she said, why would I want to write about my own life? I'm too bloody busy living it. I want to write about other people's life. So I kind of took a cue from that. And there's another, the novelist Graham Swift, that hopefully some people will have heard of. Waterland is possibly his most well-known novel. And there's a story that I will tell my students, which gets a laugh. But it's actually, there's quite an interesting kind of idea and series of thoughts behind that. Waterland is set in the Fens, and he was up there doing a little talk and reading from the book. And this quite posh and quite sort of middle-aged lady sort of stood up and said, I loved your book. It was absolutely lovely. It really it was so evocative. It was like, well, of course, growing up in the Fens, and he would say, sorry, no, excuse me. No, you're growing up here, of course you were going to render it perfectly. No, I was born in Croydon. And I somehow didn't hear that, and was going on and on about him being, childhood in the Fens. And he said, no, can I just stop you for a moment? I was born in Croydon and I grew up. That's correct. So, your novels, it's a series of lies then. And she stormed out, apparently. I mean, I wasn't there, but I've heard this story.
Yeah.
And again, he has said the one thing that a fiction writer can do, why would you not step into other people's shoes? Why would you not? You don't become your characters necessarily, but why wouldn't you take their journey alongside them?
Yeah.
Why you don't have to cling to your own life, your own set of experiences.
Yeah.
Some people feel safer that way, swaddled in their own experiences. They feel warm and they feel comfortable. I feel it's quite so it's not like a comfortable thing. It's quite straitjacketing for me, so I don't do that.
It's nice to hear that, because you do hear it a lot where they say write about what you know, and you don't. You're basically saying
I'm
that
grinding my teeth.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is again as someone who teaches writing. I said this yesterday in my class. Even now, after all these years, plot and plan and write about what you know. It still sounds sensible to me, even though I know for me that it isn't. And gradually over the years, there is that it's beginning to be recognised that writing what you know and plotting and planning is perhaps not a good thing. In my pack, there's a couple of quotes from Ken Kesey and E.L. Doctorow and Henry Green that do go against that notion. So, but it does still sound like sense.
It's a safe option, isn't
yeah,
it?
I think if I'd started to write as an older person, when I was a child, I have had no experience.
No, exactly.
Well, I'd had chicken pox and I'd fallen over and grazed my knees, but I didn't actually have any experience of the world that I could draw upon and put into a book. Now, obviously now I will have, but it never occurred to me to do that. It didn't seem right. There is a story which I would love to tell. When I was either at 13 or 14, and I thought, with the arrogance of youth, time for the first novel, Gary. And of course, the only advice I could find, plot and plan, write about what you know. So I thought, well, I don't know much, but I can at least plot and plan. So my dad had he brought home some like lever arch files, these big things, and I'd do like character backgrounds, I'd do little plans of the village and everything. I thought, and I'd look at this, look at all this, oh, it's brilliant. I was so chuffed, and I felt like a proper grown-up writer. And then I put the first sheet of paper into the typewriter. I assume everybody's listening will know what a typewriter is. Chapter 1, nothing. Okay, so I started, okay, maybe it's not the right book. So I did that. I think I repeated that process for at least 3 times, possibly more.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, maybe I'm not a novelist, or maybe I've come to it too soon. I don't know. I felt I was, though. In fact, in some ways I was ready. And then I remember getting up one night and coming downstairs, so I needed the loo. And my parents were watching a late night sort of arts programme. And it was Robert Robinson, some people will remember Robert Robinson, interviewing John Fowles, French lieutenant's woman, Magers, blah, 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 collector. And I somehow recognised that was John Fowles. I think I might have started the Magers at that point, actually, because I remember reading that when I was about 15, I think. So I sort of hung around in the door. I thought, yeah, what's this? What's going on? What's this about? And it was odd to think that my parents might be watching it anyway. And Robert Robinson said to John Fowles, so John, you're very interested in in the natural landscape, and you're a keen ornithologist. And is there any way in which your love of nature and your love of birds, does it influence your writing in any way? Now the next bit I'm going to have to say without bursting into tears, because I always do. And so John Fowles said, yeah, Bob, actually as a novelist, I see myself in a kind of an ornithological role. Because I go out into the, into the woods and the fields. I set up my hide. I look at the birds through my binoculars. I note down what they do. Come on, I can do this for the first time. But I can in no way influence their behaviour. And I was like, oh my God. It was a 22-carat gold-plated Joycean epiphany. He doesn't plot and plan. He can't, because he just records what the birds do. Mm-hmm. You can't plan that. You can plan where you put set up your hide. And I thought, oh my God. Yeah. And I've never plotted. I've never planned.
That's really lovely.
And
That's
I do say, and I really do, if there is a heaven and I go there, and John Fowles will definitely be there, I will elbow my way past St. Peter and go, oi, John, are you there? And I will give him the biggest hug. I will just not stop hugging him. He saved my life.
That's
I don't know where I would have been, was it not for John Fowles.
And that's really, that's the fact that you remember that.
Yeah. It's possibly the most important experience I've had around my, my writing life.
Yeah.
Because I have those night terrors sometimes. What if my bladder hadn't urged me to go downstairs?
Exactly.
Weird.
Yeah. Did you then write the novel?
I then did at some point, shortly after that.
Okay.
And I remember my first. I can't remember what it was called. I've got it. It'll be in the Ottoman. There might be a lot of. It'll be in the Ottoman comments. Yes. So what I do now, and because I was speaking about this yesterday. If I'm writing a book, I have a line. That's all I have. I don't know where it's going. I literally don't know what the next line is.
Okay.
I have no notes. I have no research. All I have is one draft, done, out, move on. Which sounds, even see every time I say it, that sounds completely insane. But the idea of plotting and planning, I think, as I say, I find it quite constricting, and it sort of sucks the air out of the room for me.
Yeah.
So I did this yesterday, funnily enough. I said, so if I sort of have a line comes to me, when I went to bed last night, I was absolutely certain there were 3 apples in the bowl. This morning there were only 2. I could get a book out of that. Because, so who is this person? Why did he notice the apples? Were there really 3? Why are there 2 now? So already that one short sentence is generating a whole series of questions, possibilities. I don't know who the person is, don't know their gender. So then I did the next line. I thought about it whilst shaving, but couldn't come to any definitive conclusion. Does that mean that it's a man? I was saying no, because women shave, so it might. So we still, but the gender is still undetermined. Then I did the third line, which did say no, it was a man I was talking about. I can't remember exactly what it was. So for me, so it's just one.
Interesting.
You're right. Enough sentences, you've got a book.
Yeah.
And I think it is true, Darren, but at least for me. But I think there is a base. The book knows what it wants. Stephen King said, and I've said this myself, the novelists should never mistake themselves for God, because really they're just the secretary. And that's what I've always thought. The book tells me what it wants, and I go, okay, thank you. I never presume when I teach. You possibly know, this might apply to acting, but I think in any creative act you've really got to keep the ego under lock and key. I don't think creative and ego get along very well together, or they will fall out pretty rapidly.
Yeah, I agree. Right, well, I've got so much that we can be talking about. This is going to be like, I think all of season 2 is just going to be you. But no, let's go back to university.
Oh, right, sorry, you need to maybe keep me on the...
not university. After university then.
Yeah.
So you've graduated from university.
Uni, yeah.
What did you... what's that career path for now? You've come out going, you've got this you got this degree.
Yeah, I have a master's now.
You've got a master's.
Yeah.
But then, what was that? Because as a writer, as a creative, it's really tough.
Right. So I never used the C word.
Okay.
There's a beautiful irony here. When I was working at university, I was working in careers, advising students about their future. And I thought, this is a person who shuns the idea of a career, has never had a career. Whichever way the wind blows, I'll go in that direction. Oh, that looks interesting. I wonder what's around that corner. My life has been a masterclass in unplanned events.
Yeah.
It's like I don't do research, the way I write is kind of a template for the way I live, I suppose.
Well, the way you live is the template for the way
yes,
you
or
write.
it might be the other way around.
Yeah.
So the idea of a career, no, and I have had opportunities to build a career creatively, and I've always gone, no, thank you, and then scuttled off in the opposite direction. I feel there's that, there's that song, Don't Fence Me In. I just feel I need to have the freedom to respond however I need to respond to whatever events might. So I can't be trammelled or contained by any existing circumstances, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's like you asked me if I would very kindly if I would do the podcast, and I can thought, yes, I can do that because I don't have any. And the other things I've got to do, I can move everything around. I can move it, put it there. So I wouldn't say, oh, sorry, Darren, I can't do that. I mean, if it was a doctor's appointment or something like that, but I have the ability to move freely and immediately in whichever direction I need to go.
Yeah. So where did the teaching come into it?
Right, the teaching came into it. My friend Pat, I haven't seen him for a long, long time. He was a teacher. He was very interested in film studies and stuff, so we'd have very interesting discussions about film and stuff like that. The fact we rarely saw eye to eye made them even more stimulating. He said to me, you should do teaching. And I was like, Pat, I'll do it. Then one day he got in touch with me, and he said, I booked you to do, I think it was like, I can't remember how many weeks, course in sort of like screen or film, something to do with that, at the Lighthouse in Brighton, which I think is still there, but this would have been the Lighthouse where it was originally, I can't remember. I was like, okay.
What, for you to teach it?
So, yeah, to teach. He did it for me.
Without
He went,
asking you?
no, dragged me by the scruff of my neck. So I was like, what's the worst that can happen? It'll be a disaster. So that's how I got into it. Again, not planning, not, moving to teaching, that might be good. No. Yes, I thought about it probably and then dismissed it. But so ever since, then I've taught, kind of.
And that, so what year are we there? How old are you then?
Maybe late 20s, early 30s.
Oh wow, okay, so it's quite soon after uni.
Yes, yeah, that's when I met. Because I was just, sodding about. So they were the first expletive.
So you went, uni up in London, and then did you move straight back down here after that?
Pretty much afterwards, because we're talking about, was it like late 70s, early 80s, and it was a very, very bad time. I mean, graduates from all institutions, well, maybe not Oxbridge, but there were some phenomenally brilliant people on my course. My good friend, who's not with us anymore, Paul, he ended up being a petrol pump attendant with a really, really good... So people, another friend, Simon, decided, there's nothing for me here, and he went to teach in America. So people often went back to I'm not to be anywhere elitist about this, but they did not use their degree, they did not use their education. They were doing jobs that they could have done with not having spent 3 years in a very tight and disciplined academic institution. So but we all kind of scattered, so it sort of, like the friendships, it all just kind of fell apart. So I said to Jackie, look, your dad's got a shop in Brighton, he knows everybody in Brighton, should we ask if he's got knows anyone who's renting has got a flat to rent or something? The flat came up in Ditchling Rise, so we moved out of London down to Brighton. Speaking for myself, I very quickly realised the hell of a mistake, because I am my soul spiritually. I live in London. Weirdly enough, I was having this conversation yesterday as well. Brighton and I have got on. We get along reasonably well now, but whenever I go back to London, I was at a book launch in Holland Park in November. It just feels like home to me.
Yeah.
It's like, Brighton. I think Brighton and I, we tolerate each other. Mm-hmm. It's like a marriage where you're never going to get divorced. You're going to be completely devastated emotionally when your partner dies, but it's still based on gritted teeth and toleration, really.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about Brighton.
Yeah, for me as a newbie to Brighton, it really is. It's a really interesting place, because I think it has the potential to be so much more than what it actually is.
Yes.
But for some reason it isn't. And I personally, I think it's because of its proximity to London. It's just too close, I think. I think if this was Manchester, it would be a different...
That's a really interesting point. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It likes to play the kind of Londres-sur-Mer kind of thing, but if you live in London, you think it's not really. When I was with my ex, whom I met in Brighton, I sort of kicked around, go to university, you're a genius, let somebody else tell you you're brilliant at writing. I thought, I've screwed that relationship. But then I ended up spending time with her in London, and she would then spend time with me in Brighton. And I was very aware of the differences between London and Brighton.
Yeah.
And Brighton was always, for me, found wanting. Yeah. But people adore Brighton. They absolutely love it. Oh, you live in Brighton? I love Brighton. It's got that ability to cast a spell.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work on...
Yeah.
No, I do. Look at the bit where we're sitting at the moment. This is a gorgeous building, and this is a beautiful street, and... Brighton, I apologise. I'm very fond of you. But
Yeah, no, it is. I love it. I do. I absolutely love it down here. So we've mentioned places a couple of times. You know, you talked about different books and stuff with regards to that, and you've talked about plotting and planning. Do places make a big place in your writing, or is it people?
It's usually people. There's a strange thing. I don't write well about places I've been to.
Okay.
A lot of my work is set in London, but it's set in the London that I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
So I'll set it. I mean, the scene I've just written is set in Barnes. I've never been to Barnes. And Chiswick and that. So I can do a little bit of research. But so I lived in Kentish Town, Camden Town, Finchley. When I was with Finsbury Park, I will mention Finsbury Park occasionally. But again, it's about the restricting. So I have to be right geographically. I can't, put a certain part of London on the south side of the Thames and it's on the north side of the Thames. So as long as I've got the basics right, then I can kind of almost like remodel Barnes or Chiswick or Richmond or wherever. So people who live there will go, yes, it's recognisably where I live, but I'm not in any way sort of shackled by my own personal experience trying to get in the way, my own feelings and thoughts about the place.
Yeah. What about Crawley?
No, never written about that.
Why not?
No. Because in some senses, I mean, I spoke about it earlier, didn't I? And there was that slight, I don't think I betrayed it, but there was that, oh God, I did do that. I did live there.
Yeah.
I try not to, not consciously, but I don't spend much time thinking about my past.
Right.
And I know the older one gets, because there's less future and more past, you're maybe inclined to look that way rather than that way.
Yeah.
But I try not to, I don't find myself naturally doing that.
Right, that's interesting. I like that. That's it's impressive that you can do that, because I tend to, I talk about it a lot. I tend to spend a lot of time in the past and a lot of time in the future, and not so much time in the present. Great. So
we'll chat about that afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So Masters, then, how did that come about? Where does
the Masters? I have to be careful what I say here. The Masters. I was working at University of Brighton, and there was a reciprocal fee waiver scheme with Sussex. Sussex introduced an MA in creative writing, so I was able to do the MA in creative writing. And for free. And I did that. And that's all I'm going to say. No, actually, no. I will say something. I'm going to say something because my supervisor for my creative project was Stuart Hood. And I think Stuart Hood had worked with Hitchcock or knew Hitchcock, something on The Birds, I think. So he was supervising the film script I was writing. Then I had to make the movie, edit it and stuff like that, which was... I remember Sussex sitting. This was when it was tape, and the guy in the studio, he went, "Will you do that?" And then went off and left me. So I had to learn editing.
Oh, bummer.
He was amazing. He was. Yeah, I really enjoyed my sessions with Stuart.
Okay.
Stuart Hood.
Thank
you.
As a teacher now, then, this is kind of counterintuitive, I think. Do you to be a good writer? Do you need the education?
That is a really good question. I have said to people, and I would say this applies to acting as well, the most compelling reason to maybe do an MA in creative writing is, yes, you'll have stuff to write, but it puts you in the orbit of other people in the industry that can do you good. Drama school. Yeah, do you need to be taught to act? Well, I would say not necessarily, but where else are you going to run into Trevor Nunn in a corridor?
Yeah.
It's that's how the industry works.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of putting you face to face or giving you the opportunities that you would never normally get if you weren't in that environment, I think it's absolutely worth it. I do think that obviously with any degree or MA, it depends where you do it and how it's being organised. I think It's with M. It was like, go to uni and get some. You need somebody else other than me to tell you how brilliant you are, because it's like, well, he's just saying that, isn't he? She was brilliant. So it does help you develop your own sense, as you know, of yourself as a writer or an actor or whatever. So it can be very useful in that. But will it make you a better writer? I don't know that it will.
Okay. As writer, what I'm fascinated by as writers, you tend to stick together. Like, writers like to sit in a room and write together. Actors kind of are on their own. Like, artists paint on their own. Why is it that writers like to get together and write?
I actually don't really. I do go to the the Ironclad Writer Space, which is a free Hove Library, which is great. But I really don't like to spend time with. I'd much rather spend time with actors or photographers. You know, if it's so, you can spend 3 evenings this week with writers, actors, or photographers. I wouldn't. The writers, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. I just feel. I don't know. There seems to be something a little incestuous about it.
It's interesting. It intrigues me.
Yeah.
Because I can't. When I lived in Chicago, the whole basis of the theatre there is around ensemble, so they kind of do that, and it works. But it's the only place that I've ever lived and been that happens. Everywhere else, you're not. But everywhere you go, there's writers' groups. There's people getting together and writing, and it just fascinates me as to why
there is.
That's a
I
thing.
think Brighton is blessed or cursed, maybe, by writers' groups, and so if you want to, if you feel, you know, it's a bit the herd mentality. If you feel more comfortable surrounded by other writers, that's great. I suppose I do in the sense of my students, but no, no.
Yeah.
The idea of saying, so how's the novel then going, Darren? It's not that I'm not interested. It's just, I suppose I'm, you know, as a writer myself, it's nice to put yourself into slightly fresher air, which is provided by maybe some, you know, photographers, musicians, or something like that. Yeah. It's like, this is the air I breathe all the time. So, and obviously, if I'm teaching, I expect to be in the company of other writers. But
that's a different.
If that makes sense, I mean, it kind of makes sense to me. But
and you've got quite a lot of people that look up to you, and I really admire that about you, and I admire that about the people that you have around you, that you surround yourself with. My question, I don't want to come across as like being rude or anything. Do you get more joy out of seeing them succeed than yourself?
Oh God, yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I've been in counselling for years, and we're no closer to answering that question. I mean, that was actually brought home to me yesterday, because I just finished my first course at the Horizon Centre. The idea of me mentoring somebody and then, you know, being at the greatest book launch, I think I would not enjoy this half as much as if it was mine.
Really?
There's just something really, you know, my philosophy, I suppose, in a nutshell, and I've thought this as a kid. It's a miracle each of us was born. The chances of any of us being here are infinitesimally small. So for the short time we're here, life is never about what you can grab for yourself. It's all about what can you put back. How can you contribute to this? And I do it through teaching, mentoring, blah, 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 blah. So when I see somebody succeed, it's like, great. In that sense, yes, I do take some kind of mental emotional reward. Because I think that's why I'm here. I've done that. They're launched. That's fantastic. But again, I suppose it's about keeping ego out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd never have done it without me, you know. And whether that's true or not, I don't.
But you don't say that.
No.
That's really admirable, and I think that's a place where a lot of people would like to be. How'd you get there?
I don't know. I thought you might ask me that. I did a course years ago. No, I don't know. It's just it's you know, it's how I'm built. Is it in the DNA? I don't know. I simply don't know. because I've always been like that. So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I remember a time I was a complete and utter bastard, self-centered. No, I don't.
Yeah, because I mean, from talking with you since I've known you, you've done radio. I'm right in saying that radio. You've written lots of stuff.
I've
You've
written
been
lots of
involved with
stuff.
lots of things.
Yeah.
You know, you've done plays.
Yeah.
You've acted in plays. You've done all of that. But it's kind of what you were saying before. It's quite an eclectic.
It is.
Life.
A lot of it, though, is because it's fallen into my lap or I've been persuaded. I mean, the acting... I know you act and Liz, my daughter, acts. And... Like, say when I played Noel, people obviously don't know what I look like, but when I played Noel Coward, it was purely I was just going to be like a small part, and the guy for some Brighton Festival thing, and the guy who was going to play Noel Coward, well, I think was poached by another theatre company off TV. So suddenly it was the classic, it's subject to films. Suddenly the third spear carrier, me, I'm playing Noel Coward now, and I just for people that piercings, I've had piercings, like tats and stuff. So the idea of me being Noel Coward, it seemed to me so deliciously bizarre. That kind of Mad Dog's an Englishman. What's that all about? But I absolutely yes, and I had to sing. That's why I had to sing the Noel.
Right.
Yeah, and Noel Coward's lyrics are really, really difficult.
Yeah.
We didn't have much rehearsal. So I was thinking, well, the acting will be a bit terrible, a bit grim, but I'll probably get through it. But the singing's going to kill me. And I sailed through the singing, but we had this conversation a little earlier. But the lines, I could not remember the lines from the little play extract, so I had to hide the script in things like newspapers, and somebody would hold them up and stuff like that. Just couldn't. As a director, I remember the lines. Lucy, my daughter, I remember she started to act. She'd get a big switch. Go, I've got that, Dad. Well, you've learnt your part already. Yeah, and everybody else, not in an arrogant way. She just had that.
Yeah.
Words would just stick, and I thought she gets that from me. But then when I tried to do the acting, clearly that. I don't know, that synaptic connection was not made. As a director, I remember, because I don't necessarily have the pressure, the audience isn't there.
Yeah.
I'm let off the hook, aren't I? So
I think that's it. It's the situation in it, because you're very good at remembering quotes and stuff, even like TV shows and what people have been in and stuff. Lucy gets that from you, and I'm like, it impresses me, both of you. I'm like, how do you remember all this stuff?
Yeah, but she can remember that.
Yeah. No,
One should never be envious of one's children, but we'll stop that there.
So what's the future? I mean, I've jumped over a lot because we kind of spent a lot of time at the foundation, I would say,
right?
Of what's made you here. What did your mum and dad do?
My mum stayed at home to look after. And that was very common back then. I know it's less common. My dad was a buyer for aircraft parts and stuff like that, so that's what he was. I had a sister who was younger than me. I was very much conforming to the cliche. I was very much the odd one out. Mm-hmm. When my sister arrived, it's like. We always thought Gary was weird, didn't he? Because this is what a kid should be. I was talking extraordinarily early. I mean, just ridiculous. So again, language was like, yeah. It's almost like I emerged from the womb. I went, God, a little bit of a squeeze in there, Mum, kind of thing. So that's actually, yes. So language was always there as part of my life.
Yeah. You just carry on teaching.
I will carry on. I mean, I've been asked to continue on at the Horizon Centre, and of course I'm mentoring and editing people, individually, and I think there's quite a few from my last class that want to continue to see me independently. So, as long as I feel that I'm getting something out of it, they're teaching me as much as it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
As long as I think I'm giving good value, and that, I will continue to do it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to jump and completely come out of the blue now, because we need to address this person in your life, Uncle George.
Oh.
Was it Uncle George?
Yes. Where did Uncle George come from?
Well, from conversations we've had a while ago now.
Okay.
But tell me about Uncle George.
Okay, Uncle George was my dad's younger brother. Again, he was like me. He was like the black sheep of the family.
Okay.
My nan adored my dad, who was the oldest, adored my dad's sister, would be my auntie Sandra, and George was known in the. And Nan would go, oh, he's the other bloody spiv. He was a bit Del Boyish, he was a bit. Okay, he was actually. He was the perfect sort of prototype for Del Boy. He was again really, really clever, but didn't really settle to much. He was a royal chauffeur at one point. He was the Mountbatten, actually. Are we allowed to say that? He was a bingo caller. Yeah, I know. So on the South London bingo, we might laugh. Sorry, George. But that was quite a big deal. People would stop him in the street and that. But there was a certain. He wrote for jokes for Arthur Haynes, a very famous guy, I think, and maybe Arthur Askey, and so he was sort of on the periphery of showbiz. He never really performed himself, but he was a writer.
Did he grow up in Harrow area?
Yes, I think he did, and then they moved to South London, it was Brixton and Streatham. I think I remember as a kid. He was. Also, again, this only increased his eccentricity. He was also very big in the South London spiritualist world. He was, and I'm going to say this with no hint of embarrassment, because he was quite a well-known psychic, but he never did it for money. He wasn't. It was just about, again, helping people. If he had to go further afield, he would charge for petrol, and then that was it. So I kind of got sucked into that for a while.
Did you ever tell him about the voice you told us about?
No,
earlier?
I don't. Well, I might have done, to be honest, but I have no recollection of that.
Okay.
So he was very. I think, in a way, if I'm honest, he was much more. If there was me, my Uncle George, and my dad, you would almost certainly have thought that George was my dad.
Did you spend a lot of time with him?
I did spend quite a lot of time with him. I go up and stay with him in London for like long weekends and stuff.
As a
teenager, yeah.
Okay.
And he was. I think he got me in the way that I don't think my mum and dad. Well, my mum and dad clearly didn't get me. I was this weird object that might have, dropped from the sky.
Yeah.
Because I don't know,
How
one is
old
the
was
person one is, and that's it.
How old were you when he passed away?
I cannot remember. Probably Lucy was a toddler, so maybe late 30s.
Okay. So Lucy never really got to
No,
know it.
he had dementia, and it can change, or it changes you fundamentally, in terms of how you think and that. But it can also change you physically. So when I saw him at the end, I simply would not have recognised him. He was everything about it. There didn't seem to be a single cell remaining of the George that I knew as a child and as an adult.
Yeah. Did you look up to him?
I don't know that I did, because I just felt that we were on, in the same way that one might look up to one's parent. We were just like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel I needed to.
Yeah.
It was just, it's George and I, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go and have a laugh.
No, that's brilliant. Because I remember when I've known you for 5 years, coming up to 5 years now, believe it or not. That's crazy. Doesn't feel like that. It feels like a lifetime. No, it doesn't.
That will be edited out, won't it?
When you spoke about him for the first time, that I really remember, and you kind of lit up. And you light up quite a lot.
Oh, do I?
In a very good way, but it was really delightful to hear about this person.
Yes, I mean, there was a fund of amazing and amusing stories. And I think I do have a huge regret that Lucy never met George, the real, the authentic George that I knew. And the same with my granddad on my mum's side. And my Uncle Alec. There's lots of... Obviously, I don't tend to dwell in the past, but there are family members from the past that I would so love Lucy to have met, because she'd have adored them, and I'd like to say that they would have adored her as well. Because yes, I mean, as a family, we're quite thin on the ground. We're in danger of becoming extinct.
Very much so.
Unlike yourself. So Lucy had... It's a bit maybe off topic, but she's inherited a family.
She has.
She's very family oriented, actually, which I'm not so much. So I'm not quite sure where that comes from.
Yeah, interesting. Well, we could talk for much longer, but I am going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
If people want to get a hold of you, how do they?
Oh, you can put my details on the. Can you do that on the?
Have you got a website?
No.
Have you got social media?
No.
You're on Facebook, aren't you?
Yeah. Am I? Yeah. I mean, I do appear, but I don't. I'm not in. I don't. You see, I don't really. I don't have a website.
They can find. I know where they can find you every Monday.
Yeah, Waterstones Cafe. There's a workshop there, but I'm happy for you to put contact details.
Oh no, I won't do that. A huge thank you to Gary and all of his unplanned life. I love that, being able to just keep yourself open, to be able to respond to the events that happen around you. Had some wonderful quotes there from writers and influences in his life. So much more we could talk about. If you have been enlightened, uplifted, or just put a smile on your face today, please share this episode with somebody that you love. The more the merrier. I wish you all well. Thanks for listening to The Story Pilgrim. Keep listening, and buen camino.